Today we'll be having a guide on how to use Roaring Moon, the Paradox version of Salamence. If you guys do enjoy this, make sure you let me know. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel as I'm on my way to 400k, and I upload Pokemon Scarlet and Violet content every single day. So Roaring Moon, really cool Pokemon, Dark Dragon, so the Hydreigon Salamence version. Obviously, it being a Paradox form, it has either Photosynthesis or Quark Drive. Now, Photosynthesis is amazing on this Pokemon because either in the Sun or also with Booster Energy, you get a 1.5 speed boost, or on your other stats, basically, usually attack when it comes to this Pokemon, you get a 1.3 times boost. And those, if I'm not mistaken, ignore Unaware. But this is the set that kind of makes Roaring Moon the strong threat that it is. This is probably its best set in terms of Terra type. However, the drawback being that you actually have to Terastallize to use this set effectively. So Booster Energy is a new item in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet that basically is a one-time use photosynthesis activator. So you use it on this set, and because you use your item, your acrobatics is, instead of 55 base power, it's 110 base power, and you Terastallize flying. So you gain flying stab, and you have a 110 base power move that is very, very spammable. Dragon Dance is on the set as well to boost your attack and speed. Crunch is your dark stab, and then you have Earthquake to be able to deal with steals, be able to deal with Clodsire. Toxapex, just a very strong option in general. Now, the EV spread is max speed with Jolly, and I'll show you the other version of it, but it's max speed Jolly, 220 attack. The reason we go 220 attack is because we want Booster Energy to activate our speed. That way we have the immediate speed boost upon entry, so we're faster than Pokemon like Dragapult, unless their Choice Scarf initially, and things like that, just immediately. And then also like Chien-Pao and stuff like that. And then the rest is just put into special defense because we need to put the extra EVs anywhere. You can honestly allocate them differently. If defense helps you take on like a priority move from a certain Pokemon, go for that. But the reason this Pokemon's a threat is because it kind of forgoes Dark and Dragon Stab and goes for the 110 base power acrobatics boosted by the stab that it now has with Terra typing. Of course, being flying type, you are still weak to ice and you're weak to electric, but you're also immune to like earthquake and stuff. So that's pretty cool. You can set up on Pokemon like Great Tusk because you also resist body press in close combat, and you can knock them out with a boosted acrobatics. Crunch, again, still being your stab and allowing you to hit Pokemon like Corviknight, and then Earthquake once again for the steals. Now, if you don't want to use that in particular, if you don't want to go speed boosting, you could always go the attack boosting just to get the 1.3 times attack boost immediately too. I think this is very good as well, just because you typically bring this in, when you bring this Pokemon in with Booster Energy, you're going for game, right? You're going for setup. There's no really, this is not, you bring it in and then you switch it out later, unless you have like it on a Sun team, right? A Sun team can easily work with something like Torkoal just to set up the Sun to allow Roaring Moon to have a lot of potential at sweeping. Spikes are incredible. I mean, this is the Spikes, the metagame, right? So Spikes users like Garchomp, Glamora, very, very solid. Stealth Rock on both of them as well. Toxic Spike in Toxic Debris with Glamora's case. Goldengo is amazing too because it provides Defog and Rapid Spin immunities, which is really cool. So you can keep the hazards and just use this to tear through your opponent. Roaring Moon is typically seen on more offensive variations, at least the Dragon Dance set. So dual screens as well from Pokemon like Grimmsnarl, which has Prankster, Light Screen, Reflect. It can also go for Prankster Taunt, as well as now the new Parting Shot to allow easier setup for Roaring Moon. And you just want things that can also deal with Chien-Pao. So if you're running it on more offensive teams, Scissor's a great Pokemon with it because it can take the Ice type attacks aimed at Roaring Moon and threaten Chien-Pao with the KO from a Bullet Punch, especially Swords and Scizor. But if you wanted to use it attack raising to get the 1.3 times boost, you go basically Adamant, just max speed, max attack for special defense. Dragon Dance, this makes your acrobatics and your crunch and your earthquake just that much stronger initially, right? You don't have to use the boost in order to get that power on this Pokemon just to start. It really is just dependent on your teams. If you think that attack is better, like the one plus of getting speed immediately is that you're faster than Iron Valiant and you KO at acrobatics, right? Whereas in this regard, if Iron Valiant likes to run Booster Energy too, it's faster than you also naturally, but it's also, if you go Adamant, but it's also faster than you if it has the Booster Energy as well. So yeah, it's just something to keep in mind. The trade-offs, do you want the damage? And the damage definitely matters, right? Like you 2-hit KO Corviknight with Crunch at +1 easily with the Booster Energy attack boost. So it's up to you what the trade-off you think is worth. So that's just something you have to figure out while you're playing. One of my favorite sets on Roaring Moon is the Choice Band set. Now, I think this is the only set basically that works. Well, that's not the only set that works, but like it doesn't depend on your Terastallizing to work, but it gets even better, right? The other two sets that I just showed, it's the same set, but just different EV spreads, really depend on you Terastallizing into it. Otherwise, it's not really worth it. I do want to note, though, that if you don't want to run acrobatics, on a Dragon Dance set. You could easily run Dragon Claw and then Terrasilize Dark or Terrasilize Steel in order to deal with like Chien-Pao's Ice Shard coming at you and knock it out with +1 Earthquake. So you definitely don't have to run Acrobatics. This is just the set that is the one that people think why this mon should be banned, right? But you could easily run Dragon Dance, Dragon Claw, Crunch, Earthquake, or Dragon Dance, Scale Shot, Crunch, Earthquake. I just want to put that out there. You could definitely do that, but this is the better one. So Choice Band's really cool because it takes advantage of the fact that this thing is fast, it's strong, and you get the immediate Choice Band boost, which is 1.5 base power. You don't have to Dragon Dance to get a boost. And this is really nice because with Terra type Dark, you are 2-hit KOing basically everything in the metagame. Physically defensive Corviknight gets 2-hit KO by Terra type Dark Choice Band Crunch because you get the 2-time stab boost instead of the 1.5. So for those that don't know the way stab works, same type attack boost. Because Roaring Moon is a dragon in Dark, it gets a stab boost on both its Dark and Dragon attack. So Dragon Claw goes from 80 base power to 120 when Roaring Moon is using it. Crunch goes from 80 to 120. Now, instead of being that, it's 2 times because of Terra typing into your own type. So Crunch is insanely strong. Plus you have, plus you have the Choice Band boost as well. So it is literally 2-hit KOing defensive Toxapex, defensive Corviknight, defensive Clodsire. You can actually beat physically defensive Skeledirge, and I know it's normally Ghost type, but you can beat it on the first Crunch into its second when it Terrasilize into Fairy to try and resist. So that's how strong it is. Dragon Claw is there. You don't typically want to lock yourself in Outrage in a metagame. There's not too many fairies, but you don't want to lock yourself in Outrage for the most part. No reason to get revenge killed by Steels, by Terrasilizing fairies as well. That's a big thing, right? There might not be too many fairies right now because the top blues aren't in the game, but a lot of Pokemon are still Terrasilizing fairy. And just giving yourself an opportunity to get knocked out just doesn't, I don't like that. But for the most part, you're just going to be spamming Crunch with this. I like Adamant for the power because you're faster than Garchomp and things like that. And you just do so much damage. The only thing you really miss out on is like Iron Valiant, but Earthquake is nice for the steals, and then U-turn gives you momentum. If you expect your opponent to bring out a Pokemon that maybe you can't 2-hit KO or you feel uncomfortable 2-hit KOing, like for example, they have a Garganacl, and that mon is already Terrasilize into Fairy. Obviously, you can't 2-hit KO that. You U-turn as they come in, and you bring out something that can actually deal with it. Just give you some nice momentum on the team. And lastly, we have the Taunt Set, and this one is decent on like semi-stall, so stall builds, and I actually fought it on the stall build as well the other day with CTC and CVB. And this set runs heavy duty boots, that way you don't have to worry about the hazards. And basically, it's just Crunch, Taunt, Earthquake, Roost, taking advantage of the really good resistances that Dark and Dragon does have. And taking advantage of the fact that this mon still has Roost, which is pretty cool. A lot of Pokemon don't have that. So Taunt stops opponents from setting up. It stops them from recovering, so you can go for Crunch, because you're still really strong, right? You have max attack. So Crunch 30% on Corviknight. Maybe they try and Roost, you taunt them, so they can't. I have Terrasilize Steel here. That way Chien-Pao can't knock you out with ice moves. And you can 2-hit KO with Crunch and Earthquake. But also, it's also there because U-turn won't be super effective, and you're immune to poison. I think your Terra type can really be anything. I think Fairy can work too. I think Water is fine as well. Just having those just standard, really like good natural typings. Like Water is a really good type in general. Steel's a really good type. Fairy's a really good type. So that's definitely something that you run as well. You don't have to run Taunt either. You can definitely run a Dragon move here too if you just want the added damage. But that's basically it when it comes to this Pokemon. Iron Head is an option on Dragon Dance sets too. If you go no acro, you can definitely go Dragon Dance, Iron Head, Crunch, Earthquake. With Terrasilizing Dark, and Iron Head would allow you to knock out like Iron Valiant and stuff like that. But those are just the options that I think that it does best of what it has. Obviously in VGC you can do things with Tailwind, and you can take advantage of Terra Blast. I don't think there's too much to take advantage of Terra Blast here. All of its moves are 80 base power, and it has Earthquake was 100 base power. So like you don't really want to get rid of that, right? Acrobatics is 110. You don't want to use Terra Blast Flying, which is weaker. But yeah, that's basically all I have. Hope you all enjoyed. I'll show off this Pokemon in a video later today, actually using the team that I built in the team building guide that I made yesterday. If you guys want to figure out how to team build in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, check out that video. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace.